All right, we are live from 1950 South Shepherd for our Sober Skins event. We got, hold on, hold on, some special guests. We got
Sober shirts versus
good food, and now we're just waiting.
Foreskins.
Yeah,
Just foreskins that are sober.
exactly.
What do you say? God, damn.
sober skins.
Yeah,
Damn, grandma's at front was the worst ones.
Yes, welcome
Just
to
trying
the
find-
Sober Skins.
Sober
And there's four of us.
Yeah. Is this a networking event?
Yes, this is more or less like a networking event. You know, I wanted to talk more about maybe what it's like being a peer. You know, we have a lot of people that are just now becoming peers or maybe want to become peers.
Oh, you call me a pear.
You know,
Call me a pear.
okay, yeah, you're a pair.
air shake.
Cades, dirty Cades. But you know, I thought, because everybody's aspiring to be a peer, right? You know, everybody wants to be
I
involved.
see it all the time on social media. Everyone's looking.
Yeah, everybody wants to be involved. And I thought it was important that, maybe I don't want to say like we don't want to ever tell anybody no, but we also want to have like some sort of, like who am I to say no, you ain't been sober long enough.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But like, like what would help you consider somebody to be a peer?
Well, I mean, anybody, if you have a week, you got something to offer
Yeah.
somebody. Somebody that has an hour has something to offer somebody that has a minute.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like that's like kind of what the discussion to me, it would to me, I think it would be somebody who worked a program.
Oh yeah, like
You know,
an ideal peer.
yeah, like somebody that's familiar, and it doesn't matter like what's what program, just somebody that has used the tools that were offered, and somebody that maybe has faced a situation or two, in their sobriety and didn't have to use because of it. I know I seen, whenever I got into rehab, detox and all that. I remember I went to a program in Riverside, California. One of my ex brother-in-laws was there with me, my brother Randy. And it was funny because, like he's the only person that I knew, right? Like I knew him from here. And, we eventually became, best friends. And, as a matter of fact, he's celebrating his 4 years here in a couple of days. This Saturday, as a matter of fact. And, but while we were there, like something happened between him and another, I don't want to call him client, but, him and somebody else who was there at the detox. And because they had some kind of dispute, you know, Brandy walked off and then I walked up to smoke a cigarette, and like this dude like had some kind of aggression towards me. And I thought we was gonna handle it. Like that's I just, that's I was still in that, that mentality. So, I thought we was just fixing to handle it, and then after it kind of it didn't exactly go that way. It was a peer who came, or out there in California, they're called rad T's, registered alcohol drug technicians. And that's like the same thing. Whenever I got home, I was like, well, they don't have rad T. I got certified in California, so I guess it's no good here. Then I later found out about becoming a peer. And James, you all right?
Yeah, it's Mingo.
Oh,
It's a fellow peers.
yeah.
I think he stumbled in.
Yeah.
But it was I seen how important the role of the of the people. His name was Robert. He worked at Pacific Manor. He really like, because they when you go into detox, you got to do like the medical. They check your blood pressure and all that. And I guess when I went in for my checkup, I was all wound up, like, and he was just like, "What's wrong?" And he really, I seen how important that was, and that's where I seen like that's what I want to do for a living.
Yeah.
Like from the get go, like that's what I want to do for a living.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree. Be able to handle situations is an ideal quality of the what a PRSS should look like. Also, somebody that has a strong spiritual basis, strong spiritual foundation, whatever that may look like. Somebody that has a lot of faith in their spirituality. You know what I mean? Because anybody that knows anything about recovery, it's half of at least half more than half. A lot of it has to do with your spirituality and your higher power.
Yeah.
So I mean, somebody that can demonstrate what that looks like, as a model for somebody might be struggling with that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's where I think it's so important for a peer to have, like, I mean, I get it, that's what I wanted to do from the jump. Like I want to be a part of, whatever that looks like. And then I decided to come home and I just like thought it was over with because I didn't ever hear about, peer recovery support specialists. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what that meant. And then whenever I heard about, being able to apply for the position, like I don't know, like it took on a whole life of its own. I like the accountability. I like the different things that go with it. But I think one of the things that I seen is, or came to realize, I guess you could say, is like all the things that like a river doesn't feed itself, a tree doesn't eat its own fruit. Like these different things. Like I may never see the fruit of anything that I've helped grow. Like when that's to me that's the cool thing about having this job. Is you get to plant seeds and like with Tatum. I helped her kid's dad is my relation, and I helped him get sober. And then he came home and talked her into getting sober. Like, and then she helps a lot of people. Like you get to see this thing keep going and going. So, Mr. Chebeda,
Yeah, what's up?
um, like what I know what it is, but I'm asking for our crowd. Like what qualifications do you look for when hiring a peer?
For a good peer, I mean like you
What's a
like
bad one?
yeah. What's a bad one? Bad one still using?
Not saying any names,
Yeah,
but
no, yeah.
stumbled in the door.
Yeah. No, yeah, someone that barges in. No, I think the key for a successful peer is somebody from the community, because you can have a peer that's a phenomenal peer in their hometown, but if they come to this side of Oklahoma, they might not do so great because that inherent friendship is that connection isn't there off the bat like it is with our peers. Yeah, yeah. I think that
Amanda
one's
Wild
huge.
onions
And then a good solid foundation in recovery, a good understanding of the ins and outs of it, which is just anybody that's a peer that's in recovery is a peer technically. But yeah, I think somebody from the community that they once were tearing it in is the key, because we talk about you getting phone calls all the time and you already know
Yeah,
who it is.
They are.
Yeah. And
What's up, fool?
yeah, yeah, and that's how you get that instant comfort. Yeah, in the middle of the night you'll get that, but you get that instant connection, you get that confidence boost, that everything is achievable. And I think us elevating our people from the towns that they're from is what makes our success so great, is because people see the before and the after. Yeah, that's just my little take.
So I should be able to get a job anywhere. Then.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
where
Yeah.
I was turning everywhere.
So, Mr. Anzawa, what helped make your decision that you knew like you were on the right track when you became a peer?
Well, I think it was mostly people telling me. I didn't even know what PRSS was. And I was fighting some court cases. I had a little slip up. After that slip up, I started doing really good. And then the lawyers and judges were like, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" I was like, "Man," I just quit following everyone. I started doing my own thing. I started reading this Will Bridey book. I just started doing this. And it worked for me. It worked for me in my community. It worked to, share my experience. And for me, I think experience is what makes a good peer. And where I was at, I was in Oklahoma City, but I also I had like a veteran experience. I've seen a lot of other veterans and reach out and say, "Hey, dude, there's or girl, or whoever, just let them know that there's people on the other side that's been there, and that there's hope on the other side, and it doesn't have to be the end." And when we're and I was there to listen to their stories, just like I used to think no one would ever listen to my story. I was going crazy, playing it back in my head, and making myself, just disconnected. But once I started talking to other peers and veterans that went through what I was going through, I was like, man, I'm not alone. And it opened my eye, and then I started, getting really good at sharing my experience, because it was hard at first. It was really hard. Yeah. And once I started sharing, I started healing. And once I started healing, all these doors started opening. And it's like everyone's just like, "You should be a PRSS. You should be our PRSS." And we kind of started our journey together. One of your peers from tour, and
She's not with us.
one of your former peers, but she's out there doing big things too. And it gave me the experience to serve at the VA, which I also got to get back to our country. But at the same time, I'm teaching people how to live in recovery, and after a while, I wanted to get out and start living my recovery. Yeah, and I'm still living it, and I'm also still implementing Will Bridey and my peer support. Even though I probably don't have their certificate, it still stays with me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've told your story enough that everybody knows you're regular. But you found a way to overcome it, and I think that's the important thing. Is that you're willing to get vulnerable. Right. And I've seen you come along. Shout out to Medicine Tribe.
Medicine Tribe, another watching.
So I think it's great. Mr. Chapel or Chappelle? Okay.
Mr. from State Farm.
Yeah.
Mr. Chappell. You had recently asked about becoming a peer, but what did that look like? Because you've worked at a couple of different places. Do you feel like you needed that certification to be valid?
I didn't need it to do what I like to call God's work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just allowing God to work through me. I still planted seeds through clients, and watched them grow and blossom. So I didn't need it for validation, mainly because I needed it to work on the level that I wanted to work on. I shout out to all the techs, at any rehab. They're the backbone of all treatment centers, and then but I wanted to have more in-depth conversations with clients. I really want to get into case management, and I want to really eventually get into the clinical side of it, and work and be a therapist, as high as I can get, and help in the most clinical way possible, but be able to bring a traditional aspect to it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So as far as your question, I didn't need it, but I wanted it. Also, it gives a little bit more money.
You
Not a
know,
lot, but a little bit.
when I think of it in that sense, spiritually, I feel like you should be able to give this thing away, freely, like it was given to me.
Right.
I got sober through Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's how I feel, is that it was freely given to me. The book. I mean, all I had to do was show up. That's all I had to do, and it seemed like things just kind of fell into place. So, like, even whenever I was going through rehab, I was already helping people. Everyone's like, "Where you at?" I'm at the beach. I'm walking around with my thong, and it's
Helping people,
yeah, helping people.
people.
doing outreach.
So he already got.
Recruiting.
He ain't even got his. He ain't even graduated. He's already got his badge.
But
Said it's beaded.
it that's when it hit me, that, like, I can do this for a living. Like, that was my call. Like I had been lost all these years. And the crazy thing about that is, back in my addiction, is I used to dream about that. I used to daydream about that. Like, man, I wonder what it's like to be sober in a thong. Yeah.
That's yours.
I used to daydream about you too. Yeah.
Still does.
But
Someone said beat it though.
Yeah.
Y'all behave, there's elders here.
But it brought me to a place where I found my calling. Given the opportunity, because before it was, try to sponsor people, try to, I tried to that aspect. And not to say that wasn't a good place, that's just as great. But when I got this position, it just kind of seemed like 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 all the doors started opening, like you were saying. You get these opportunities, and you understand that it's not about helping yourself. You gotta, like I gotta really want to come to work to put up with Darian every day. And
you come for the live. We all know it.
I come to do the live, and that's it. But I feel like you were saying, Jake, this is God's work. I feel like a vessel, and for some reason it just gives me this comfort that I've never had before. And so I think about, like, people that's been sober as long as Ruth, and as long as they've been sober, and Ron, and it's like, would he need a title, to feel like, I'm sure he's been helping people for years, and I think that's amazing. I probably ain't got 21 more years in me to say I've been sober 25 years. But, I think it's pretty cool, I felt like that was the missing piece of our team, here at Tour, is that long-term sobriety, I didn't know that when I got my job, I was going to be the one with the longest.
Yeah. I don't think anybody thought that.
Especially if you knew me. Yeah. But, I think it's pretty cool. I feel like Ron is our missing piece. I almost called him wrong. Ron is our missing piece.
I've been called worse.
Yeah.
Call it reinforcements.
Yeah. So, hopefully we can find. I won't. I'd like to see a female with long-term sobriety. That I think that would, like, complete us.
Yeah. Yep, we got Mingo still tearing it. We got.
Look at him. He ain't even
I know. He came in, used the bathroom, and then was about to leave.
He was in there for about,
Yeah.
about 25
But you
minutes.
know, I thought it was cool that my brother Bobby Kamasiva showed up. You know, always good to see him. You know, they're trying to bring. You know, he's got a facility that's gonna be. He's a part of the company that's gonna be opening up them. I think in September.
Mhm.
So you know, I believe that'll be in the Tulsa area.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, would you like to
You want to come up here?
come up here and tell us a little bit more about your company?
Somebody said Sober Hill instead of Savage Hill. Here, you can take my spot.
Don't hate. Don't hate.
I don't know. They're giving me great honor by saying it's my company. It's not my company at all. Nick's watching this. It's on him.
Yeah.
No,
But right now it's his.
I've had a great honor to take the liberties and utilize the tour project. And within that, I did some treatment center in Massachusetts, and they wanted to see how far I could go with it. And I'm still going to this day. Man, being a peer recovery coach, working in a facility, it's tough work. It's tough work. So my hat is off for real to all of them ladies and men up there, taking care of women, taking care of men, children, elders. It's a great honor. Like you said, it's a blessing to be able to be in that position to help our. We are coming here to Tulsa. September. We're hoping for September. And I've been up there for 6 months now, and it's been hard. You know, I had to come back home. I was homesick. In our different facilities, we don't have our culture and our heritage, so you know it's always good to have brothers like this. You know what I mean, stepping up for our loved ones, our natives, our children, our family members that are in need. And you know, I have a great amount of honor and respect to this man right here. Serves as our one of our veterans.
Yeah.
I didn't know that till today, you know, and that's a great honor. And it's a great honor to be sitting on this panel with these men, even under the roof of this tour office and building. But yeah, being there in the facility, you see a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. At one point in time, I remember being that one in pain, hurting, going through days, thinking I wasn't loved. But you know, you just got to give yourself that time to grow, time to heal yourself. And it is important that you come back to your traditions. One thing that fueled my desire to make a better life for myself, one important thing was God, the Creator, my children, and my traditional ways. Going to Sundance, going to powwow, seeing everybody around the drum. That was church to me. It made me feel good to be around those elders, those men, those women here in Lulu's. Boy, it just make you feel good. Whenever you go off to Massachusetts or California or Florida, you don't get that. You get that at home. You get a lot of healing from home. Being a peer recovery coach, it does definitely take putting yourself down through that road. Ron, he's been down that road, and he's a great advisor to a lot of us. And like you were saying, Barry, that's one thing that we're missing. You know, our elders are very important to this project. To this project of where we can come together and help one another and help our children and get out of that pain that we're carrying with us every day by drinking and drugging. My hat's off to everybody here. I don't want to take no more time, guys.
Hey, you got some good words, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandpa and them, they raised me, and like they said, it takes a village, to raise a family. And it took me finding somebody. My boss, um he's an important part of this. He's an important part to my life. He's an important part to y'all's life, whether you know it or not. He is part of our Native American team. He's a partnership for the Haven, which I work for, who employed me when I had nothing. I was at my lowest. But he's seen the good in me. So he said, hey, let's see where you're going to go with this. And me, I was raised to be proud of who I am. I'm a Comet Seaver, and I'm proud of that. So the only way that I could repay for my grandfather's names, Comet Seaver, is to do right. And it couldn't have came at a better time. I get to see my children grow, get to see a text message, them telling me they love me, and well, that just fuels me. But being way up there in South Bend was hard, having to deal with your kids wanting to talk to you and wanting to see you, and you can't. So, I'm proud that I'm sober. I'm proud that I got clean. I'm proud, to be Cheyenne.
Ooh, thank you.
So, do you know what the name of the facility is going to, or where's it going to be located?
It's going to be in southeast Tulsa.
Okay.
Southeast Tulsa. It's an old assisted living center.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll house up to 60.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it will be a substance use. In Indiana, we have a mental health unit. We have an adolescents unit, and we do have a veterans unit in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Okay. So we're always looking for good, devoted, good-hearted people, to take care of these loved ones of ours. I've had the pleasure of assisting other tribal members from North Dakota, South Dakota, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Tennessee, Florida. And it was good to have a representative like Dr. Joy from North Dakota, where she had entrusted me with her kinfolk and with her tribal members. And me being there, having that presence at the facility, it was a good feeling to have somebody trust me, not even know me.
Yeah.
But our facility is going to be in Tulsa, and we are trying to find right locations for sober living houses here in Oklahoma to be ready for that facility.
Yeah.
Because, when we got a facility, we want to make sure that we have a good aftercare program.
Yeah.
Whether it's IOP, PHP, but we definitely want to get a handle on our aftercare program with the sober living houses. So anybody that's got any good ideas, any good bases, get a hold of me. If you don't know my number already, you can look me up on my Facebook page. My number's there if you need me. However I can assist you. Can't really assist much, but give you the strength you need to keep going. But yeah, that's about all I got, bro.
PRSS is out there doing things. I like that. Yeah, I want to say something that was brought to my mind, if you don't mind, real quick. One thing I learned about being PRSS is it wasn't just sobriety; it was other mental identities and other age groups and other. There's just so much stuff you could do as peer support. It's not just being sober and teaching about sobriety. there's a peer support in different aspects of
Yeah.
behavioral health.
You know how many days all it took was me just going up, giving somebody a hug,
Mhm.
and saying, "Hanging there, bro, I love you." Man, I got people from all ethnic groups. Where's Bobby at? Where's Bobby at? Hey, where's Bobby? And that made me feel good. You know what I mean? It made me feel really good just to go up and give somebody, because I'm not afraid to tell a man I love him, regardless. I mean, I never had a man really say that to me growing up. My grandfather was a strong man. My grandfathers were strong men, and they showed me.
Yeah.
They showed me. They didn't have to tell me. And I didn't seek that. You love me, you know. I felt it when he took me in at 5 years old, you know, and raised me. You know, I felt it. I felt it when he bought me clothes whenever it was time for school, getting me to school every morning, picking me up every day from school, you know, having my back when it was needed. I felt that.
Mhm.
But just being there with the clients, the loved ones that are there, just talking to them. You know, I'm a short conversation kind of guy. You know what I mean? I can't sit there and have a conversation about the Phillies or Tupac or Low Run, none of that. You know what I mean? It's a short, basic conversation. It's in and out, you know,
Unless it's recovery.
unless it's recovery.
There you go.
Barry and this team kind of they inspired me a lot, because I was like, man, I didn't know what I was going to do in life really, except for do my best to be a father. But just showing that kindness, being kind to somebody, regardless, that's where it's at. That's how you make people happy. You know, we can send our people to rehabs all day long, but if they're going to just come back to a bad town with bad situations and the same people, it's going to be the same results.
Yeah.
And then having a tour program with this program, it's the better side of it. Aftercare program.
It's a healing force.
I'm not one for jokes, man. You guys got a lot of jokes. Real serious.
Wait.
It's real serious.
Laughter is medicine.
Love you, Dad.
That's how we cope.
Yeah, definitely.
That's how we get to Indian funerals be the funniest ones. And like, dang, just lost somebody. Everybody's over there cracking up.
Well, I thought that maybe we should let the ladies get up here and talk about
I was
what it's like to be, you know, in the field, what it's like to help people, and maybe get a couple of peers, female peers up here.
Thanks for letting me share.
I ain't calling anybody out, but I ain't saying
Where's
no
the
names.
stage? Where's the-
But her name starts with Andrea.
rhymes with Smandria.
Yeah. So if you gentlemen don't mind,
Kindly get the heck off the stage.
yeah.
Love you, Emery.
Thank
Love
you,
you,
thank you.
Lauren. Love you, Abby. Love you, Coda.
There you go.
Daddy all day.
Yeah. Okay. I'll stay.
Come on, Andrea. Hey. Man, I got maybe sit by you.
Pick her up. Throw her up here. Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate, your time. Would you all, and you might want to speak into your mic, because I speak so loud, like it'll drown out your mic. You know what I mean? So try to, you'll go back and you'll watch it and you'll be like, I should have grabbed my mic. But would you all like to introduce yourself? We'll start from left to right.
Hi, my name is Ruth Bearshill.
Ruth?
Hi, my name is Andrea Alexander.
Miss Alexander.
Hi, my name is Sherry Sam Shoto. She's not even shy.
Well, thank you, ladies, for coming on. Like we weren't sure about where we were. We didn't have a topic. It just kind of produced itself once we figured out that we didn't know what we was talking about. You know, which is pretty common around here. But like I like to focus on maybe understanding, because y'all got more time than I do, right? Way more time than I do. I'm like, I like to think of myself as a spiritual toddler, whenever it comes to recovery, and I've just been so, happy and such in like a good place mentally that, I just want to share this with somebody else. Or I want somebody else to experience, these good feelings. And I guess one of the things that, from a female aspect, um, what is one of the things that, and I'll start with Ruth, because I know, you probably will help more people than I could ever help. Like just you being the person that you are. That I know that means a lot to our community. That means a lot to me. And I I really appreciate you just being Ruth. Like that I think that's there's power in that. And but what do you feel like is something that's missing? When us youngsters, yeah, I'm gonna call us young. Us youngsters are trying to, do this thing, or we're trying to rush people into it, or like, do you feel like there's something that is missing from, maybe just trying to, maybe even like, because for a long time it was just males, me, Darian, Carmelo, Domingo, like, and we were missing that female part of, I think that probably stopped a lot of females from reaching out and getting help, So do you feel like there's something that we should understand about trying to help, young Native women get help?
Well, I mean, I think y'all are, and I've always watched it since y'all started, and I thought y'all were doing a real great job. And I really don't think there's anything that you're missing. I mean, I think it's the person's want to
Yeah.
and the will, because if they really want to, then there's nothing that's going to stop them from trying to get their sobriety.
Yeah.
And so, but I do think that, a woman's point of view or a woman's presence, may make them more to, oh, I can do it, I can do that. And but boil it down, I think it's their want.
Yeah.
If they want to, nothing's going to stop them. If you want that recovery, you're going to go get it no matter what. It don't matter if it's male or female. But like you said, there is some women that don't and can't express their feelings to a male due to something that happened in their past.
Trump.
Yes. And that may keep them. So that's one that probably would help speak more to a female. So,
Yeah.
But other than that, I think y'all are doing a great job. And I always listen to y'all. And I love that y'all joke around and have fun, because that's what makes people want to watch more, because it's more real, and everybody tears it. Yeah, used to tear it, okay? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and everybody knows it's not, I mean, it's a serious subject, but you got to joke around, you got to have fun, you can't be all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I think, I don't know, I guess that's about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think, we're always, I know I am, I'm always like, am I doing this right? Is this a program of attraction? Like, am I doing, do I joke too much? Or are my jokes too regular? Yeah. But, I feel like I'm the majority of natives out there. I came from a very humble background, grew up poor, grew up in addiction, and then I just followed suit.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I am the majority of natives out there. I'm
Yeah.
not very educated, like, like I feel like I am, my people, So, thank you for your answer. I appreciate it. Miss Alexander. Um, you get to do a lot of work in the community. You get to, you facilitate for White Bison, which I think is huge. And I want to tell you thank you. Thank you from all of Indian country. That's been blessed with your presence. Yeah. But I mean that. It's like, you're taking healing all over. We everyone knows what the problem is. But I feel like you're part of the solution. Do you feel like maybe there's something that not just tour, but like people that you see occur, because you're pretty familiar with just about every sobriety group in Oklahoma. Do you feel like uh, maybe there should be more attention paid to certain one thing in particular, or do you feel like there's something missing out of recovery? Maybe for females, or you know, just tell me whatever you got on your mind.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Grab the mic. I really appreciate all the work that you all do, and it is you all have formulated a program just based on intuition and that spirit driven, and no one can take that from you guys, and that's really great. And it's peer led, peer recovery. It comes from a vision. Those are all the concepts of Wobriety, the initial vision that Dawn had of the healing coming to our people. And I'm just amazed at how it has transpired and how we see it in motion now, because like this, and one of the visions he had was the connection on the web, and you guys bring that to life for him, and y'all heard him talk to y'all about that.
Yeah.
Remember, he talked about that vision with y'all. So you all are in an excellent opportunity and a position to live those visions that we had. You are living our dreams, and even going beyond what we dreamed, what we dreamt. Like our children, I was telling Natalie when I come in, I was checking on my kids,
Yeah.
my grandkids, but that's the thing is, we've done the best, and we all, I don't like saying it. People say I'm an elder. I mean, who wants to hear that, in the sense of, because for me it connotates age, and I don't want to get older. I want to stay a toddler. But in that sense of in Wobriety and recovery, I've got a little bit of good work behind me, and I think at times, and I was just thinking about this today because I'm doing Warrior Down training, and I think we've kind of lost a little bit of the base of where this came from. Our warriors behind the walls, our women, our sisters, our brothers, and those who were left behind, those families. We can work on the individual as much as we want. We can work on ourselves, have that desire and work on it, and then go to our families for those who are home. But if we're behind the walls doing the work, who's taking care of our families?
Yeah.
What are they going to come home to? Who are they going to come home to? Who's writing to them? Who's putting money on their books? You know this.
Yeah.
And how we get forgotten. They get forgotten back.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I'm at with this now, is looking at the initial reason why I came into this. Because I was working in offender reentry. And I was taking circles into the prisons. And I did tour, we laughed because we said we did tours because we do 4 or 5 days on the road, hitting the prisons, doing circles. Because once I got that pass, I could go to any prison at any level. And, let's not forget them, because they'll come home, because, Oklahoma has a great, notoriety of being #1 in incarcerating women.
Yes.
Our women are in there. Our sisters are in there. Yeah, and just remember that. And, and thinking of how where those curriculums came from, the drawings in there, those are from the brothers. They did that artwork. They didn't know it was going to be like this. We just got to remember where we came from, where this came from, and the initial, and they didn't dream it would be this way too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the only thing I'm thinking about, is just that, because that's some things we've been talking to some of the people here in Oklahoma is, how did we get away from that? How did we forget them? Because I'm doing that too, because I don't go into the prisons no more.
Yeah.
I don't, if I hear things, people let me know, and I connect them with a resource, with whether it's rocks, willows, medicines. I just do that connection in that way. I don't go behind the walls anymore. I've been to all the prisons, even McAllister. I've been down in Big Mac. And so we've just forgotten that effort of why we started this. And that's just, and it's only because I'm in a reflection. I'm in the winter phase.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do? Where's my next step? What do I need to keep? What am I going to take with me? Yeah. And that's one of the things is, a lot of them are coming home. Now we're looking at treatment when they're coming home. Our veterans when they're coming home. Our warriors when they're coming home. How do we welcome them when they come back home? So that's just, it's food for thought for y'all.
Yeah.
An initiative for y'all if you choose to. I don't come to this side of the state much, but I come for y'all.
Yeah, we
I
appreciate it.
make that effort. And
Yes, thank you.
so, but that's about the only thing. Like I said, you guys are doing great work. Just keep evolving, keep staying in touch with each other, keep touching base, and move with your community. And you guys are doing that. You are moving with your community, how your community is coming at you and what they're needing, and they're able to comfortably say to you, we need this. And you guys find that outlet.
Yeah.
How can we bring it to them?
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
Well, thank you. And you're right. We try a little bit. We actually got a contract with BIA. To go into their holding cells on this side of Oklahoma. So I feel like that's kind of, a good place for us to start. To see how we can implement different things, what works and what doesn't. Just kind of
How to practice.
yeah, how to practice these principles. So I appreciate that insight. Miss Sam, maybe because you how long did it take you to get here?
I left Bartlesville about 2 o'clock.
Grab your mic. Yeah.
I left Bartlesville at 2 o'clock.
And you got here at
Well, I got here. What time was it? About 5:15.
and
But I had to go over to Aunt Ruth's house when I come to El Reno every time. I'm sorry.
we really appreciate that. That means a lot. To see somebody. It's just encouraging. It makes like we're on the right track. But I can't take any credit for that. That's all the creator. But I feel like what do you feel like? Is there something that you feel like we're doing here that you can take home?
Everything.
Everything.
Just like I told you guys a couple weeks ago at Southern Plains when y'all did y'all's breakout session, there's a lot of tribes that are looking up to you guys, and you guys making a way for us because we're all new to the store, and you guys had it now for how long have you had it? About 5 years?
Yeah.
And it's a 5-year grant, so we're all trying to learn. We're all having little difficulties in it and stuff, but that's just the beginning of it, you know.
Yeah.
People can't expect us just to bam have that tour and just be just like you guys, just like that.
Yeah.
We have to build up too, just like you guys
Yeah.
did. You have to build up your audience. You have to build up your talking circles. You know, sometimes you're going to sit in that room all by yourself,
Yeah.
waiting for somebody to come. But that's all right, because that's why that door is open for us, so they can come through. Even if it's 10 till 8, they came. And that's the best thing about it. They showed up.
Uh-huh. Well, you know, we appreciate, you know, because I feel like we're all on the same team, right? Like we all want the same thing, and you know, that's why I like doing the podcast, because it creates that space where we can have these positive interactions. You know, we can talk about how many days somebody's got. You know, like Jake was saying, even if they got one day, like I want to know how they did it. You know, like it just means so much to me, you know, to see, like, just to create this positive space, you know, where we can just network, you know, throw these ideals out there, you know, because we did the growing pains, you know, I remember when, you know, it would just be the staff of tour that would be at the talking circle, and they would feed good, you know, they would had good food, you know.
That's like me. I serve from 6 to 7. You know, whatever Title 6 is serving that day, it's a whole full meal. I mean,
Yeah.
that one day we have meatloaf, mashed potatoes, corn, bread, and all that stuff. You know, it's a whole full meal. So whatever they ate that day, that Wednesday at Title 6 is what you're gonna get that evening.
Yeah. Well, let me know next time y'all have. Yeah. You know, but you know, I like the fact that you know, like you said, maybe you'll be the only one. You know, I remember having events and only 2 people showed up, and that's because we called them. You know, hey, you know, they got to take home 40 hot dogs. You know, but you know, it's them growing pains. You know, I feel like, you know, even if just one person showed up, you know, the way I see it is that it was all worth it. You know, it was all worth just for that one person. You know, so I really do appreciate all you ladies. You know, it really means a lot to me. You know, I've been fortunate to have, you know, some ladies that have, you know, way more years than I could even imagine, you know, come into my life, and you know, I'm very appreciative, you know, of you know, ladies with long-term sobriety. You know, Ruth was saying, you know, it just feels different. I don't know, like you get that loving, caring, you know, but can also be direct, you know, in the way that, you know, uh, the way that you present things, and I appreciate that. You know, I appreciate, you know, you ladies just being who you are. You know, I think we're very fortunate to have you involved with our circle, and I just like the way, you know, just all 3 of you, you know, just your presence. I mean, it lifts me up. So I just want to say thank you to you ladies.
Did y'all notice he quit talking rugged?
I know, right? I had to pull it in. Let me pull it in. Let me get it together. Yeah. Wait on one of y'all to smack me.
The question is for you in your program. How do y'all feel with all these other tribes, like the Delaware tribe, looking up to you guys and stuff like that? How you guys doing your program? How you doing your harm reduction? How you getting the youth in here and getting them out there? Because that's the thing about it. Our youth are dying out there with the fentanyl and stuff like that. That's why we have to reach them. It's killing off a generation.
Yeah. You know, I feel like no matter what we do, I feel like we can always do more or improve on what we're doing. You know, but do I feel like we definitely got our foot in the door, you know, about different things? Our tribe wasn't, you know, it's not that they didn't support us, they just didn't understand the mission, you know. So it was like that was our opportunity to go and not only educate, but show them results of why these things are important, you know. And I feel like, like different tribes that come and ask us questions. They're like, well, we can't do this because of this. We can't do that because of, like there's always a reason why. And, I feel lucky because, maybe I'm not going to say, that they don't know any better, but, we're going to keep trying and trying until they tell us no. Like I'm sure they monitor, what we say. I'm sure they pay attention to, the way that we're carrying ourselves. But, I got to say the proof is in the pudding. We have people that are alive in our community because of our efforts. And I think that speaks volumes about what the real problem is. Like I said, that's all I needed was the opportunity. That's all I needed was, before I do anything, before I do the podcast, before, I go help somebody, before, just to get my day started, I consult with the creator, and to me, that's the most important tool that I have, is I consult the creator and I let him guide me on what's going to happen in my life. Because, I mean, we all know what happens when I got the wheel, This ship's going down, if I'm driving this boat, so I feel very fortunate that I don't take it to the head. I pray to be that vessel. I talk to the creator about, don't don't let me start talking. I get rugged, that's one thing I say is give me your words. Let me do what you need me to do to continue your work, so I think that's been very important in what we do. I don't know about them other guys, but that's what I do. Yeah.
And you got to remember, because I said I came into this in when I first heard about heard about Well Brighty was in 2000s. And there was many times no one showed up for meetings, no one showed up for circle. I had a captive audience in the prison, so that was a given.
Yeah, they had to be there.
Yeah, they did. And but when I did it outside the walls, there was times when no one showed up. It's that perseverance. If this program doesn't teach you anything but perseverance and patience, that's the one thing two of the things I've really learned with this. It's not on my time. Because we want it yesterday. And we want a full room and we want all the food gone. It happens at times, but just not all the time.
Yeah, the other day I had a relative come through, and he's not too comfortable in the talking circle setting. He likes to have we'll go in the other room and we'll just have our own, our own circle, just me and him. And he was like, I got to meet Don Coyes. And I was like, what? He's like, I've known about Will Brighty. He said when they brought that hoop through here, he said I got to walk with him. Because he was at the treatment center at Concho when they brought it through here. And David Levi's mom was the counselor. So yeah, she got to meet Don Coyes. And my relative got to run with it, from 10 miles or whatever, whatever they were letting him go. And I was like amazed because I thought, only if, only if I would have known that this was the program that was going to save me and my people. So many what ifs, so many coulda, woulda, shouldas, but like you were saying, it's on God's time. When I heard about this program in California, it was, I guess I was kind of biased because, I was like, it's a native thing. And then I get there and it's more non-natives. And, it just kind of like, I don't know why I let it bother me. It was about sobriety. It was about recovery. It was about, the medicine wheel. Why is that so important? Because addiction doesn't discriminate. So I understand now that neither should recover. So it was different coming back here, and we just had there'd maybe be 6 of us, and 4 of them were staff. Like I've been to those meetings, and I went for a couple months. But I think about what it is today, and I feel blessed. Look at the company I get to keep. Like I feel very fortunate. To be in the position that I am, and just understanding that we're gonna try. Maybe this didn't work. Well, let's try this. Maybe we can have a better result if this happens or if that happens. But when it comes down to it, it's the Creator's will. And whose heart He opened to hear what we have to say. Today I got to go talk about. It was lunchtime and I was about to lay down and take a nap. For lunch, and Darian's like, "Hey, do you want to go talk about alcohol?" And I was like, "Well, I guess, let's go." And my talk turned to, and I've never, of course, I can go in there. Yeah, I used to get blanked and got beat up and like all the things. Yeah, my last run. Yeah, but I got in there and I started talking about generational trauma. That boarding school, that affected so many of us, and started. I even what I can't remember what I said, but I forgot it again. No, you see, I done forgot it again. But whenever I said it the first time, I know. But I mean, it was like I've never spoke about those things, and that was one thing that everybody, yes, what 3 people and a kid, but they all came up and shook my hand and said, "I know exactly what you're talking about." And it just like kind of lit this, like it started like this whole new thing of different ideas now about when I speak, to our people, about, we all know what the problem is, but let's understand why we're this way, and let's see what, how, like I said today, with the way that things were set up for us and the things that they did to us, it's set up now to where they don't even have to do those things to us anymore because we do it to each other. Like it's us using drugs, us drinking, it plays right into what they had planned for us. So I guess I just never said those things out loud, and it felt good to be able to speak about those things. Not saying it's anybody's fault. At the end of the day, it's my choice. But the way that it was systematically put into our lives, it felt good to speak about those types of things. So, it's I could sit here for another 2 hours just talking about that, but it felt good. It felt good to like maybe start speaking some truth that we need to hear about.
Speaking from a trauma base.
Yes.
Staying in the solution.
Yeah. And it was, it just like, like that. There for a while, I couldn't never tell a part of my story without Carmelo and Darian and going, "Oh my God, can you tell a different story?" Like we've heard that 100 times, and I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, Yeah, next time I'll make up something." Yeah. 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 But I like what Wellbriety is bringing to the table. We just got done with the Sons of Tradition, with Mr. Albert Titman, and I told him what really brought that home for me. What really caught my attention about all those teachings that he brought was seeing a man that actually lived it. Seeing a man that actually did these things in his own community, and to want to bring that across the, I'm 1,500 miles away, maybe more than that, to want to bring that same healing to my community, and to see somebody that's actually done it and lived it and is still able to find some growth, I think that was huge, So, with that being said, I feel like that's what you ladies are bringing to the table. I feel like, y'all are pillars in your community, in the whole native, recovery scene. Like, whether it was they know about you through us or from your own community, I think it's huge, that we have women like you who are present and, who people can turn to, and I just want to say thank you to all three of you. I appreciate who you are and what you do. So, anybody else? Yeah. Anybody got a question? Anybody? But Mr. Chibata, would you like to continue? Well, come turn it off then.
Shut him down.
Shut me down.
Shut him down.
Yeah, go up to.
I got questions.
Oh, wait, we got a question. You gotta come ask him the mic. Oh, go ahead.
I got this one. So, I know it sounds really simple, but it can be some of the hardest things we can do for ourselves. But what do you all do for self-care with all the energy and time and effort that you pour into your communities? What do you do to take care of yourself? Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra, for that question. Thank you.
Well, it used to do a lot of stuff together. I lost my dog on Friday, but I still have my little jet. So that's what I do for my self-care is me and my animals.
Me lately, I just shut everything down in my house and just sit in the house and just like listen to the dogs. I mean, I don't have nothing planned. Stay off my phone, no computer. Just pretty much shut everything down. I'll take a drive to the lake and then come back home because I got to release it somewheres. And water is the one thing I always go to.
I do my prayers in the mornings, and then I do my affirmations, and then I go sing and dance with my plants. And that's about what I do.
We all sing and dance. We just wouldn't. That's why my ankle got hurt. Gotta move. I just moved.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, no.
Here goes another question.
This has to pertain to your Wellbriety meetings, your Wellbriety talking circles. Me going to a different state and trying to let the other tribes and the other people that are not familiar with Wellbriety come into terms and having a correct way to approach conversations. How would you approach a situation if there were only a few natives in your talking circle of 50 participants? How would you handle 5 Native Americans and 50
For me, if I can speak for me, I've done talking circles. I think my biggest talking circle I've done is over 100 people, and they were all Native, and everyone spoke. I give a prompt, and I also put that disclaimer out there, if that's the best word I can have, is that we are all equal. That's why we are in the circle. There is no one above, no one below. This is an opportunity for everyone to empower themselves and utilize their voice. Should you choose not to share, that is upon you, and you can pass. And I also do the protocol of what I have in my center, or if I'm having an eagle feather. But I do it as a general for everyone, and I let them know that we have the 4 colors represented for this stance of there's equality, and we're talking about inclusion. It's always inclusion, not exclusion. I try to stress that a lot about inclusion, whether it's gender-based or race-based. Do not try to exclude. Anyone else?
That's what you said. Because she's my mentor. I've known from the beginning when she first started this program.
We went to
When
high
she
school
first
together.
got into
Oh
it.
wow!
Yeah, we went to high school together. There's probably some on there's like, hey, there's Andrew. That's right.
Oh,
Go
Bo.
Sam.
Bo Sam.
You put yourself out there.
I didn't do it this
No.
time. I'm always doing that to her.
But yeah, I agree with Andrea. Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you were saying, it's about inclusion. That drink didn't ask me what color I was. That meth didn't care. What color I was. And I feel like that's the same. You bring that same energy into a talking circle. It's about what makes this the same. And it's usually drugs and alcohol. And I feel like as long as you can keep it about that, colored, like I said, just addiction doesn't discriminate, so neither should recovery. So that's why, with the Gord clan and everything, that's why we wanted to call it All Nations. Our talking circle here is called All Nations, because we wanted to include everybody. And my sponsor, him and his wife, they like to come out, and they're non-natives. And they have like some of the best shares, like that you can hear in a talking circle, because they understand that it's not about color at all. So, that was a good question. Nope. No, we're going.
It's too late. Andrea said I could. So I just wanted to comment really quickly because this was something that we kind of ran into a lot. We have a lot of non-natives who are seeking a higher power of their choosing. And who are we to block their blessing if they're seeking our creator as well? If their if their version of God or their version of a higher power didn't work for them, maybe they're out seeking. And so, I like to share my creator. I like to share my higher power. I also like to not get in the way of someone else's blessing. And if that's them, then absolutely let me share. Because I know that that's helped a lot of people. We have a lot of non-natives who would rather come to Wellbriety to a spirituality discussion rather than a religious discussion, because spirituality and religion are 2 totally different things. And so that's what we try to impress upon people when we're in our circles, is that we're setting heart to heart in a circle. No one above, no one below. I'm a little short, but hey, my heart's in the same general vicinity. And but we try to be inclusive of everybody there, because you never know who that medicine is going to speak to and who it's going to call and who it's going to help. Because all of those prayers that we put into that circle, they're for everyone. They're not just for me, they're for everyone out there that needs them. And so that's what we try to do. And I think that because it's so inclusive, that's what draws a lot of non-natives there, because they've probably got some trauma based on their religion that was maybe forced upon them as well when they were growing up, because we have to understand we weren't the only ones that were traumatized in this world. Sometimes we carry that like we were the only ones, but we weren't. I know a lot of people in our circles and our people that are going through religious sobriety because it was forced upon them when they were growing up. So all inclusive, open mind, and I mean the world's your oyster. You know, anything you can let anything happen in that circle. So
Yeah. Well, and the other part of it is, you can get the AA directory and you can open up, find a closed meeting, open meeting. Used to be a smoking meeting, non-smoking meeting.
Yeah.
Because I come from way back then. And, you can have a closed circle and have natives only. That's at their preference. I'm not the Wellbriety police. I'm not the circle police. I'm not going to come out and shut you down because you're doing it the wrong way. You pray to the wrong direction. That's just us doing it to ourselves.
Yeah.
We're hurting ourselves more than helping others. And bottom line is our people are dying daily. Daily. There's stuff out there that if I go out now, I would not make it. And so if we keep that in mind and keep that inclusivity, like you said, if one person showed up, then that person lived. And that's what we're in it for. We're not in it to say, oh, no, you ain't doing it right. Or, whatever comes to mind and we want to run it. Because sometimes I have my biases in it. That's when I know I'm getting closed off. I need to check myself and I need to get my butt to a meeting. Because I'm not taking care of myself. So that's how I see it.
I like that. I like how you said all that. Yeah.
It was recorded.
Yeah.
It was recorded. Put on t-shirt.
But, Nat had some great points in there too, so we appreciate the comments. We appreciate and she makes good grape dumplings. Yeah.
That's some good biscuits.
Yeah,
and
good
wild
biscuits.
onions. If y'all didn't make it, she made good wild onions.
She made wild onions. It's our second week in a row.
Oh,
Yeah, we had them last week too.
How did y'all capture her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She ain't going nowhere. Yeah.
Let her go home.
Nope. Yeah. Well, is there any more questions, comments, anything that anybody else would like to? No, anybody but Jake.
He has a poem he said he wants to share.
All right. Go ahead, brother. Get up here. Mr. Chappell.
Chappelle.
No, he said how I want to say it. Chappell.
We're Facebook friends now, as of yesterday.
Now you're in trouble.
I'm always getting kicked off Facebook. I'll friend anybody.
You gotta speak into the mic. You gotta speak into the mic.
I've been up here a little bit. I don't know how I can follow y'all ladies. That was awesome. Thank y'all for y'all's words, y'all's wisdom. It sure goes a long way. Matriarchs. I don't know if you guys appreciate it enough in your own life, but I sure appreciate you guys, you ladies, all y'all. Appreciate y'all. Especially that cook over there too. God, dogs. Was about to put me in food coma. I don't know if I was ready to sleep or sing. Boy. Anyways, I wrote this poem because my one of my coping skills is I write poetry to process my emotions and whatever I have going on in that chaos theory of a brain I got. So I called it God is Love. So bear with me. I'm not no Edgar Allan Poe or anything like that. I don't know the other famous poets. So
As long as you don't start out with roses are red.
and I said, sorry, with noses are red. Yeah. Yeah.
We lost control.
We saw. Do it back in. We saw. Yeah. I couldn't resist that one.
No, we can't get serious.
Man. Uh, uh. All right. It's called God is Love. All right. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but God said, "Let there be light." And when He speaks, the deaf shall hear it, and the blind shall see so bright. Give Him your faith, your worries. Give Him all your troubles. He taught me that conflict precedes clarity, so now I embrace all my struggles. And I realized that most of my adversities started from within. So on this long road of self-improvement is where this journey now begins. A little boy wanted to play, so he went off to ask his dad. He replied, "Not now, I'm busy with this little time that I have. But I really want to play with you and I really don't want to make you mad." He said, "Here, go, put this puzzle together. It's a puzzle of the world map. Finish that and maybe we'll play some catch in the back." He thought surely that bought him an hour. He hated to see him sad. But 10 minutes later, here comes a boy with a smile to show his dad what he had. He said, "But you never seen a world map. How'd you finish that so quickly?" With his confused look on his face. He said, "On the back was a picture of a man. I put him back together and the world fell into place. Have faith. But sometimes it's hard when you struggle with doubt. But I know if I could count on one thing going up, it was the cooking at grandma's house. Walk in smelling good, stomach immediately started stripping. I smell biscuits, mac and cheese, that cornbread, and some fried chicken. Boy, howdy. It's on and popping. I'm about to see what's up in the kitchen. Surely grandma's got a sample. I'll sneak in when she ain't paying attention. Go on, get. Acting like you sneaky. Your stomach's louder than you. Don't you want the whole meal how I prepared it all the way through? You may not have seen it from the start, but I'm putting the love in this food. Ain't it always filling and delicious and abundantly more than you can chew? It may not be on your time, baby, but I'm always on time when it's for you. Sweet memories save me. They provided me with the truth that God's been guiding me all along. And what my grandma said was proof. See, God is good. Cast out your doubt and worries. Let faith guide your direction. Love yourself and be honest. Every ship needs a little course correction. But 1% misdirected may not seem like a big commotion, but 100 miles later, you way on the other side of the ocean. See, I am handsome. I am intelligent. I am the man Creator wants me to be. Self affirmations daily is how I truly love me for me. And when you love yourself truly, your light shall never dim. Haters hate regardless, especially when they see I'm him. They say me put on sober weight and they say, "Look, here comes Slim." See, I can walk across the water, but they say it's because I couldn't swim. Be good to others as you would have unto you. Break bread with someone hungry, or even a smile could change their mood. Don't judge a book by its cover, because I'm assuming the fool is you, or to look down on someone is just as foolish too. See, a barber was cutting hair, and he said, "Check out this idiot slumming and bumming in front of my shop." He called out to the homeless addict next to the curb with holes in his socks. He held out a dollar bill and a 5. Said, "Hey, choose one of these." The addict looked as he thought, eyes wide, grabbed the one as he cheesed. Yes, I said, "I swear he's got to be the dumbest idiot I've ever seen. Every day I ask him the same question, and every day this loser chooses the same damn thing." Perplexed at this decision, he finished his cut, paid the barber his fee, and when he was done, he sought out the man who now laid out in front of his son. He said, "Say, now why would you pass up $5 bill and choose the one?" He simply said, "Because Kimosabi, if I had chosen a 5, then the game would be done." God is love. That's what I got.
That was good. Appreciate that, brother.
It's kind of long.
Appreciate that. But I like, you can't tell a poem without grandma's chicken in it.
I know.
So yeah.
Man, like that part came to me like because
He was hungry.
I was hungry,
Yeah.
but I was hungry for instant gratification.
Yeah. For
in
sure.
my life, because like I was wanting things to happen for me, and I was thinking about my grandma when I was growing up. Like, you know, it, God sent me that message. You know, Creator has a way of communicating through memories, through different things, and I was wanting things to happen for me right when I wanted them. Just like I wanted to go in that kitchen and get some snacks, and get some scraps, get some samples from Grandma right then and there. And Grandma sent me, "Don't you want the meal how I made it for you?" Just like Creator says, "Don't you want these blessings how I got them all laid out for you?" You know, but me try to jump the gun because I've always been a pursuant of instant gratification since a kid, right? I want it now. I blame JG Wentworth. But you know that helped me out, just thinking about my grandma like that. You know, she was teaching me in ways that I wouldn't understand till years later. You know,
Hmm.
there's a lot of times in life I'm looking for something to happen right now, and that's not the way it's supposed to happen, because if it were to happen like that, it might mean, grave consequences. It could be it's not the way that Creator has it lined out for you. So I mean, I had to include Grandma's chicken in there, boy.
Chef Gravy, did you say Chef Gravy?
Always.
Yeah. Well, that was good. I like that, brother.
No.
You always want to encourage you to keep writing. You just never know the effect that you'll have on somebody. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. And would you like to close us out with the song?
Sure.
I mean, like I know R&B, but
It's 7 o'clock on the top. I'll sing. I'll sing my addiction song.
go ahead.
I was blessed to I was blessed with this song. It's just in around that format, which is unorthodox. It's not. We don't talk about addiction in our music like that. But for whatever reason, it came together like that in a time where I was speaking through my heart, from my heart. So, it's around that format with the English words that talk about addiction. So, bear with me. I've been greasing. Yeah. If I go off tunes because I'm wild onions, it was fire. Yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, oh, hey, oh, hi, oh, hey, hey, I am, hey, oh, hey, I, oh, hey, oh, I, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. I'm thinking of all the times that I've had, the good times and the bad. But this just ain't working. The drinking ain't worth it. I swear I'm not all that bad. Today I'm on a new path. Hey, 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 I'm thinking of all the times that I've had, the good times and the bad. But this just ain't working. These drugs just ain't worth it. I swear I'm not all that bad. Today I'm on a new path. I am, yo. But it's a Tribe out.
I said no R&B. Yeah. Well, can you? Well, you were doing on the. Well, like, share, follow. You know, tell your mammy about it. Yeah, subscribe. We appreciate everybody that was able to come.